Last week, I told you that a Supreme Court decision has mandated that, yes, Pennsylvania has to redraw its congressional districts. Pennsylvania's congressional districts have been so gerrymandered since the 2010 census and the 2011 redistricting that took place that even though you have 800,000 more Democrats than Republicans in Pennsylvania, Republicans have controlled about 2/3 of the 18 congressional districts for a long time. Well, they did it. Pennsylvania Republicans drew brand new congressional districts, and they are basically just as gerrymandered as before. We have a map of the new districts overlaid above the county level results from the 2016 election. And what you'll notice if you're looking at the map is that the bluer areas are strategically drawn into districts to achieve the exact same thing as before, which is that even though Republicans are at a deficit in terms of voters in Pennsylvania, they hold advantage in a majority of districts. And there was an interesting analysis done by it was either the Washington Post or the New York Times, where what they did is they sort of looked at how the districts were drawn in 2016 when Trump won 12 of 18 districts, and then they retabulated the 2016 presidential election results based on the new drawing of the districts. Trump would have also won 12 districts with the new drawing, which tells us that this is still just as gerrymandered. Now, in the interest of sort of being fair, right, we know that because Democratic voters tend to be more in urban areas and Republican voters tend to be more in rural areas, that does create some base level of advantage for Republicans at the congressional district level, but not winning 2/3 of all districts 3 elections in a row, despite being at a significant disadvantage in terms of the number of registered Republicans. So this is obviously completely ridiculous. They are claiming, the Republicans are claiming, no, we redrew the districts without partisan data in hand. That's the stupidest excuse I've ever heard. If you're familiar with the state's politics and the geographical distribution of voters, you don't need a partisan list in order to draw a partisan map. And now we'll have to see ultimately what the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania decides. And this is why I've been saying we've got to vote, because now that these new districts are going to be challenged legally, the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania gets to look at it and say yes or no. And if he says no, then a nonpartisan redistrictor, an expert in drawing districts, is going to take over. This is why it matters whether the governor is a Republican or a Democrat. This is why it matters if the state Senate or the state legislature has a majority of Republicans or Democrats. And this is why I've been talking about the importance of the census for years. Even though these are not, as I've said before, the most exciting topics to discuss, this stuff has such an impact.
And we do need an independent commission, because whenever Republicans are in control of the state legislature, they draw the lines in favor of their party.
Yep.
And Democrats, whenever they're in charge of the state legislature,
That's right,
they draw the lines in control of their party too. And so if we had just representatives from both parties or unbiased arbiters who are able to draw these maps,
Yep.
it would turn out a lot better. Or maybe even put it in the control of the courts. They're used to being unbiased.
There's
as
a
well.
bunch of different ways you can do it. There, a bipartisan commission, some kind of uninvolved, nonpartisan agency, courts. Basically, any option is better than what's being done.
No system's going to be perfect.
No system will be perfect, but we know that one of the worst systems is letting whoever happened to win the last election after the last census, putting them in charge of just drawing the districts how they want. That's what leads to the disasters that we've seen. I mean, it's happened in Massachusetts. It's happened in Illinois. There's a lot of places with just wacky and crazy districts.
And it took the U.S. Supreme Court 7 years to throw out the first Pennsylvania map.
That's right.
They can't wait another 7. We only have another 3 years left before the next census.
That's right. The time that it takes to fix these problems is absolutely unconscionable. The video you just watched was made possible by support from you. Please go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show. You can make a pledge of as little as $1 per month. And every dollar helps to support the work that we're doing, particularly in light of the YouTube ad boycott, which has been really bad.